Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Progressively Yours Health and Wellness Podcast. I'm Dr. Imani, and
I'm J. Bernard Kynes Sr.
And we have a wonderful guest, someone who I have known for a long, long time, and she's doing amazing things. When we talk about eating natural, healthy food, she actually jumped out there and started a farm. So we're going to be you're going to love this show. But before we get started, we're going to go through our process and have Bernard start off with a spiritual entry. And then I'm going to follow up with a little bit more from the 4 agreements. Take it away.
All right. Thank you, Imani. We like to always begin our show with a spiritual opening. And we welcome the spirit of the Creator and the ancestors. And so, you're welcome to participate, but I'd like to invite you to, if you're sitting or standing, find a comfortable position. I want to invite you for just this 1 minute to close your eyes, and you're going to hear the ting shaws tonight. And this is what the ting shaws look like. And as you hear them, I want you to breathe in and out through your nose. Mm-hmm. Notice your body sensation and be in touch with everything that you feel. So let us begin. Would you close your eyes and take 3 breaths in and out through your nose as we begin. We get centered and we get focused as we open our hearts, our minds. We're in touch with our bodies as we welcome the spiritual presence of our ancestors. And as we honor the legacy that lives in and through us, we enter into this space and into this place and at this appointed time with their presence with us. So as we begin our show, we bow to the ancestors and our own legacy through them. Hey, namaste and amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was good. All righty. So I had started going through the 4 agreements. I'm going to close this up so it doesn't keep dinging. And the 4 Agreements is a book by Don Miguel Ruiz, which I have been highlighting. I think you can see it better without the light. Okay. And the 4 agreements are very simple and very powerful. So the 3rd agreement is don't make assumptions. We have a tendency to make assumptions about everything. The problem with making assumptions is that we believe they are true. We make assumptions about what others are doing or thinking, and we take it personally, and then we blame them and react by sending emotional poison with our word. We only see what we want to see and hear what we want to hear. We don't perceive things the way they are. We literally dream things up in our imagination, sometimes our small minds. Because we are afraid to ask for clarification, we make assumptions that we believe are right. Then we defend our assumptions and try to make others wrong. Making assumptions in our relationships is really asking for problems. Often we make the assumption that our partners know what we are thinking and that we don't have to tell them what we want. We assume they are going to do what we want because they know us so well. If they don't do what we assume they should do, we feel hurt and say, "You should have known." So I'll stop there. I mean, it goes on a little bit further, but how often do we get in trouble because we make assumptions? So it really is best to speak honestly and say what we want and ask for what we want and give positive feedback, constructive feedback all the time. So with that, we are going to move forward. And again, we have a real special guest who I just recently reunited with after many years. Well, for most of my friends, I've been out of town and I've been in Virginia Beach. So now that I'm back in Georgia, it's just really nice to see what people are up to. And Jean Young is up to something really, really big. Mm. She is the owner and operator of the Freedom City Gardens, LLC, which is located in Athens, Georgia, just up the road a piece. She is an educator, an artist, an activist. I met Jean, and I'm not going to read the rest of the bio because it's going to come out when we do our discussion this evening. But I met Jean many years ago, and I was the co-director and co-founder of a teen theater program, Yes for Health. And I think someone had told Jean about the program that myself and good friend Gary Ogden had started. And she was like, "Well, where are they? I want to help. I want to volunteer." And she did. She came, rolled up her sleeves, and she was there and supporting us with Yes for Health. So, and then I ran into her some other times. She's a photographer, takes beautiful pictures, has taken pictures of, I know at least one of my granddaughters. She just met the others this past weekend. But she's multi talented and just as humble and as kind and respectful as just most people that I know. So with that, I'd like to bring Jean Young on to join us. Hey, Jean.
Hey, Jean.
Hey, Dr. Imani and Dr. Kynes. It's so kind of you to have me on your show. I feel honored.
Oh, well, we feel honored that you agreed to come on. And I was telling somebody, I said, Jean has always worn hats. I said, since I met her 15 years ago, whenever that was. I love it. It's your signature, it's your signature look. So you wear it well.
It has more to do with spirituality. And I've had my locks for 30 years plus. And it's tradition, to cover your hair. I can't get all of my hair, but that's
okay.
That's the theory behind the hats. So
okay, all right. Well, that's cool. See, you learn something every day. Every day.
Works well.
We go back a long time. Dr. Imani, and I'm so glad we have reconnected.
Me too. Absolutely. So tell us about your farm. How did you get the idea? Go back in time a little bit. And when did you wake up one morning and say, this food is horrible out here. I want to just make my own?
Yeah, I mean, that happened a long time ago, Dr. Imani. I think I was a preteen when that happened.
Wow.
And I, did not like vegetables at all. My parents were, they were World War II, just coming out of World War II when I was born. not exactly that date, but and so they were fascinated with frozen food and hothouse food. So I ate hothouse tomatoes and frozen broccoli and frozen beans, and I just hated it. I hated it all,
Yeah,
and
they didn't
so it
taste. Yeah.
just didn't taste good, and I couldn't eat it. One day, I
Mm.
think I was about 11, and my dad brought home some real, outside grown tomatoes. And I looked at them and I said, I really don't like tomatoes, but these tomatoes look so good. They were round and they were red and they were big and they were juicy. Had to
Mm.
have a slice. And it just opened up a whole new world to me. He brought these tomatoes home all summer because he was working with a man who had a greenhouse and he
Mm.
was growing these tomatoes. So I always say that tomatoes were my gateway vegetable to eating more vegetables.
Hmm.
In fact, on my farm, Freedom City Gardens, I specialize in growing tomatoes and I also specialize in growing root vegetables. I believe that these are some of the most nutritious, delicious vegetables that there are, at least for me. And I specialize in growing, nutrient dense vegetables. In other words, there are organic amendments that we add to the soil. So
Mhm.
I'm learning more about soil as I go along. And the soil is the basis for the plant to be fed. The soil is everything for the plant.
Yeah, that was what I was going to ask you for certain because I remember last week when we were having a conversation, you mentioned about the soil, and I really wanted you to talk about what, as you were saying, sharing about the
Mhm.
soil, its importance for the growing of food, and how does it enhance the nutrients that our body needs.
Uh-huh. Well, there are two things that we have. We have dirt, which is stuff we have around our house and we try to get rid of, and then we have soil, which is a
Mhm.
living microorganism and contains living microorganisms and insects and biomemes and things like that, all the way down from the single cell to multi cells. And this biomeme is like a rhizome. It permeates the earth. It goes everywhere. The thing that we try to do on our farm is to maintain this biomass. And
Mhm.
so we have what we call a no-till farm. In other words, we don't take a mechanical tiller and roll through the beds to loosen the dirt so that we can plant. Actually use what we call a broad fork, which is like a big pitchfork with two handles
Oh,
that we
wow.
have to chunk into the dirt, pull back, and just to kind of aerate the soil and bring some of the nutrients that are embedded in the soil in the surface. And this way we don't destroy this massive web of nutrition that has
Mhm.
been, developing over years, over centuries.
Right, right.
You know, so
Do you do composting? Do you
yeah,
compost
yeah,
the
we absolutely use, our farm is my farm is organic. It's USDA certified naturally grown, which is like a half step from being organic. So
Mhm.
we have organic compost that we use. Every time we plant a new bed, we compost it, and then we have nutrients that we add to that.
Oh,
Um, these are the nutrients like zinc, like boron, like phosphorus. We use something called chicken meal, um, blood meal, things like that we add to the soil
mhm,
to fortify the soil. Because I'm from Illinois. I'm from Chicago, North Shore, um,
mhm,
and we have black dirt. I'm sorry, we have black dirt. And
mhm.
when I came to Georgia, I was confident that we could not ever, that I didn't know how people grew here.
In the red, hard, red clay soil, right?
I was very confused. And I said, well, if I want to do any growing down here, I'm going to probably have to, get one of those big dump trucks and just bring some black dirt
Right.
from Iowa or Illinois or Michigan or, Ohio. But I met a gentleman by the name of Musa Hassan. And
Mm.
Musa worked at Emory University, and he was an expert on soil. And I said, Musa, how in the heck do you all grow anything down here? What is this stuff? This is like clay. It is
Yeah,
clay.
it is.
He said, well, sister, it's not the dirt, it's what you put in the dirt. There are things that you can put in the soil that make it, what it is, that make it enable to grow. And agriculture is the #1 industry in Georgia. And of
Hmm.
course, our ancestors worked in agriculture and built this country, built this state.
Hmm.
And so they were able to use this soil and to grow in this soil. So years later, when I decided, that I wanted to do some farming in Georgia, I thought about what Musa Hassan told me, and sure enough, we have a whole litany of nutrients that we add to the soil
Hmm.
before we plant. But before we do that, we take a soil test. And we take samples of the soil. We go down about maybe, I don't know, a foot and a half, maybe a foot. And we make, insertions into the soil. And then we send those into the county extension. And they tell us where the soil is at in terms of nutrients, in terms of the pH. And they recommend what we should add according to what we're going to be growing in those beds. So this is very helpful. It's very scientific. And it works. Happily, it works. So that's if that answers your question. It's all about the soil.
I just, I just moved back and had a dumpster outside, and we're throwing away things. And I
Yeah.
had an old composter that was broken, but inside of it, the soil was so rich because it had been sitting in
Oh,
there for like a couple of years. It was,
yes.
and it was so, I mean, it just smelled so good. And at first we
Yeah.
were starting to throw it away, and I'm like, don't throw that away. We actually put it in a bin so that when we start
You.
planting
Yeah.
our own seeds and things, we would have really
Yes.
good soil to start off with. So
Yes. I'm
I
glad
like,
you didn't throw it away.
oh, I know.
We're losing our soil in this country. Um, we've just done some horrific things to it, as we tend to do, the water, the air, the soil. And we've gone from like having 2 feet of topsoil, 24 inches of topsoil, to maybe having about 6 inches.
Wow.
Ooh, wow.
So we can't grow food if we don't have soil.
So
Uh,
yeah, so what does
but,
that
but-
mean for the future
well,
of farming and growing food? What
yeah.
you
So you're talking about aquaponics, which is farming with water that has living fish in it, and you're talking about hydroponics, which is water that has both of them have nutrients that are added to it. And you're talking about vertical indoor farming, which
Hmm.
is the new thing that's happening now. We're just trying to get into it, trying to get acquainted with it. But so we're still farming the old-fashioned way, but I'm going to be growing microgreens in a water solution in my home very soon. So yeah, so this is the way. And I hope this works in terms of the volume of food that we need, and everything else, all the politics that's going to be involved in the whole thing. People are going to have to argue about and fight about it and whatever.
Right,
mm,
Um,
right.
but this is where people in ag are kind of projecting the future, and it's not that far off, really. So
Probably not. I have a friend who had did some of the hydroponic growing in his living room,
yeah,
and it was so nice. And I kept saying, I'm going to do that. But I've been in such a kind of transition mode for the past few years. But now that
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
back here in Georgia,
Well,
that made
maybe that could be a project for us to get reacquainted.
okay. Thank you,
Yeah,
thank
yeah,
you. I'm
let's do it. Yeah,
do
let's
that.
do it. Yeah.
That's
So,
fun. Thank you so much, Jean.
uh,
I
so
some
it says, please repeat who does the soil analysis. So you have a county extension office. It can be associated with a university, such as the University of Georgia, or it can be associated with your county. The one I use is associated with Athens Clarke County. So what you'll have to do is whatever county you're in, just Google, you know, Baldwin County Extension or Ball County Extension, and they'll lead you to it. And you can't grow without testing your soil. You can't grow, and you have to test it every time you put a new crop on it. Um,
Oh, wow.
and you have to add nutrients every single time. You,
Mhm.
if you want to be effective.
Mhm.
The other thing that we do is we have something called green manure. Now,
Mm,
green manure is what we call, it's another name for cover crop. Before we start farming and to give the soil a rest and to, just reinvigorate it, we grow a, a crop. It might be beans, it might be peas, it might be buckwheat, it might be alfalfa. Each of
Mhm.
them has their strengths and weaknesses, but we grow this crop till it, we grow it as long as we can, maybe 6 weeks, maybe 5, maybe 4. And then we tarp it over. Essentially, we kill it or we recompost it. So we tarp
Mhm.
it over and it starts to, to die and decompose and it goes into the soil and it adds nitrogen into the soil. And
Wow.
nitrogen is the thing that we need in that soil more than we need all of it, but nitrogen is the one thing we want to infuse that soil with. So we cover it with a black tarp and we leave it on for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe longer weeks. And by the time we take that tarp off, all the vegetation has turned to carbons, turned brown. So,
Mm.
mm.
so all of that nitrogen from the green living plant has
Mm.
seeped into the soil and it invigorates the soil. So
I
this is
just,
these
oh, sorry.
techniques these techniques are very, very powerful. And
Right.
I'm so thankful that I know about them because I didn't know about them prior to. Dr. Mani, I'm sorry, did
No,
you?
no, I was just going to say, I got excited for a second because my grandfather had a beautiful garden at our home in New York.
Uh-huh.
And it was all organic. Of course, we didn't use that term back then,
Yeah.
40 years ago. But
Uh-huh.
he had a tarp, and he had really rich black soil that he used for, I guess, for compost. I mean, we used to put eggshells and things
Mhm.
out there, and he would
Yeah.
like a mound of black dirt. And
Mhm.
the shells and the leftovers and things would all go in there. And he would, constantly stir it up, but he had a tarp over it. So he clearly knew what he was doing. He was from Kentucky originally.
Yeah, clearly
And
he was doing, absolutely.
of
And
course,
we as African Americans have to take ownership of this because this ag in the US, I mean, the Irish came, they couldn't grow a potato,
yeah, right.
And I'm not, criticizing or trying to make fun of anybody, but people
Mhm.
just so minimize the African influence in the African, what we've done, and along with Native Americans, in
Mhm.
for this country. So
Oh, yeah,
yeah, that's
absolutely.
very important. So we do that on a big scale, and I have a collection of eggshells that I to add
Mm.
calcium
Okay,
to the soil.
wonderful. It's so,
Calcium phosphorus. Uh-huh.
like, to add on to your story, the sad part is, like I said, I wish I had followed my grandfather, kind of shadowed him and learned what he was doing. But as a child, I didn't. I mean, he couldn't get it. My mom couldn't get us to eat the greens that he grew. He grew collards and
Mm,
strawberries, and there were so
yeah,
many peaches. There were a lot of things that we ate the fruit, but she would give away bushels of greens because we weren't,
yeah, yeah,
so we didn't. They didn't force us.
yeah.
But
I was I was a kid who loved collard greens,
oh,
Oh, yeah.
and on the cob. And my parents are from the South. My mom's from Asheville. This is after, after the tomato incident. I began to really embrace vegetables. And
really?
my mom was born and raised in Asheville, North Carolina, and my dad is from Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
My dad's father, Marvin Young, had an 80-acre farm in
Mm,
Davidson County, Tennessee.
Oh,
So,
nice.
but my dad, migrated to Illinois, to Evanston, Illinois, and things changed a little bit. There was the war and a lot of other things.
Mhm.
Um, but both
so,
of my parents know how to grow. I had an uncle who, like your grandfather,
Mhm. Mhm.
he grew grapes. He
Wow.
grew everything. He was awesome. Yeah.
Nice.
Jean, do you have siblings who also followed in this path of farming?
Well, I have siblings, but they haven't followed. I have a daughter. She hasn't followed. She does help out a lot. she helps out a lot. And helping out can be anything. You can be with me on the farm, or you can just be here stirring me up a little pot when I get home, because I have long days,
Mm.
which I hope won't be too. It
Well,
won't stay this way. But trying to learn a new craft, a new skill, a new
Mm.
science. I'm in the arts at UGA. I'm getting my doctorate in. I'm Franklin School of the Arts. I'm a filmmaker. I'm a photographer.
Right.
All that stuff backwards, forwards, inside out.
Do
But I'm
so
humbled. I'm
much.
humbled when it comes to the farming.
Do you have a team of people that help you on the farm? Do you have farm hands that help?
Well, I'm not going to say we have farm hands, but we do have, excuse me, we do have volunteers who come in, and
Oh, good.
I'm indebted to them. I had one come in today. Her name is Riley Stevens. She works like a machine. I,
Oh,
she's a
nice.
UGA pre-med student.
Wow.
Um, and yes, and
That's
she's always there on time. She's always there. She just focuses, and what did we do today? We were gosh, I'm sorry. This has been a long day. Oh, we were picking the peppers. I had about 150 pepper plants, and
wow.
um, the bell peppers. And with the frost coming, I knew that if any of that frost hit those peppers, they were goners. Um,
Oh.
there are vegetables that can take the cold, like collard greens, like carrots, like turnips, like beets.
Mm-hmm.
Peppers, no, they get a whiff of that in the soil. They feel that in the soil, and they're gone. I decided, the peppers are green. I want them to be red, but you know what? I'm going to go ahead and pick them because I don't want to lose my
Right.
whole. So,
Do
so,
you?
so those kinds of decisions we're constantly making. I have a farm manager. His name is Seth Nivens, and I go to him regularly with questions and confirmation about what I should do, and the decisions I make. And I made the decisions to pull all those peppers
Mm-hmm.
today. You know,
Yeah,
so
no, it makes sense. Do you have or have plans to have like a greenhouse so that you could protect some things like that?
Mhm. Well,
Um,
I actually do have a tunnel. I have a high tunnel, which is a plastic covered, instead of the glass, it's a dome, half
oh,
dome with plastic over it, and it's got two doors on both ends, and that's my tomato plants are in there, and I have about 120 tomato plants in what we call the high tunnel.
okay.
And so we had to put doors on that because the doors had blown off during the last windstorm.
Mm,
So we had to replace those and roll them down, and everything is pretty well sealed up right now. So my tomatoes are ready
all
for the
right.
fall.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
they're
nice.
ready. So they're going to be last maybe another couple of weeks.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
And so on your in your bio, you said that you do distribute to local stores and organizations, and tell us about that part, those connections with the community.
yes, yeah. I mean, the connection to the community is very, very important. And what I'm doing now is I'm actually I have a a contract with the state to sell food to women and children in the WIC program, the Women, Infant, and Children program. So
Mm-hmm.
that took up a lot of my time, and that's what I focused on over the summer, was getting those families fed. And
Wow.
what an incredible experience. I would show up, they'd be waiting for me,
Mm.
and I would see the faces on some of these kids first time tasting a piece of cantaloupe.
wow.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Yes, first time.
That's
I mean, the two little, year and a half, 18-month-old. And one of the things that really warmed me, I had some carrots that I had, and I looked up, and there was a mother, and she had a bottle of water, and she was pouring water on top of these carrots, and she turned around and gave it to her child sitting next to her.
Wow.
Instead of getting in the car, let's go to McDonald's and get some French fries. Oh, I love McDonald's French fries. Sorry, but anyway, let's go to McDonald's fries. She gave her son some carrots.
That
So this is what we want people to do. We want especially parents to do.
how
Is to,
many families were involved in this project?
well, I serviced about 25 families. Three times a month was
wow.
yeah. So if you can imagine the amount of food that I had to to
Mhm.
grow and
Yeah.
wash and pack. I can barely get everything into my car. I have a, small SUV. I need a trailer.
You do. You do.
We're
And
gonna show, we're gonna show some of the pictures from the Instagram post so
okay,
that the audience can get a view of
okay, great. Yeah,
the hard
thank
work.
you. Uh-huh.
And yeah, so
And we
tell
want
us what you.
Okay, so up in the what is that left-hand corner? Those are the scallions. So I had three different kind: purple, yellow, and white.
Mhm.
And then I think the next one are the collard greens and the kale, the lacinato kale.
Mm.
And then the one on the right is Tony Gales, who is the supervisor of the Young Urban Farmers with the Athens Land Trust, which is the land that I farm on. And
Mhm.
I am a member of their farmer incubator program. So he
Oh,
is also part of the land trust. And he is hanging up my garlic. Uh,
wow.
I somehow didn't think that garlic needed to be cured, but
But it
garlic
does.
needs
I
to be
didn't see.
cured.
I never thought about that. I figured it
Yeah,
just grows in the ground and you
yeah.
know, you
And
eat it
I'm a
or
victim
cook.
of just, trying to rush through things and trying to get things done. But here's Tony hanging up my garlic in the barns to
Nice.
cure it. And this is the next one is a close up of the garlic, and you can see that it's got the soil still attached to it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Because
Mm.
anytime, of course, if you're trying to cure something, you don't want to add water because you're trying to take water away. And most of the time, if when you wash vegetables,
Mm.
you shorten their lifespan. So that's that. And then the close up is the elephant garlic, and about as big as my hand.
Wow.
Not my hand, but maybe can fit in my
Yes.
palm. And the other one is, if you can see it, that is a young man that did an internship with me, and this is our okra. And this is our okra got about twice
Oh,
as
stop. Come here.
tall as it is now, and you can see him.
Oh,
He
okay.
doesn't look like he's crouched over, but he is. He's kind of on his knees. But later on in the summer, you could stand up, and then the okra would just make an arch over your head. It would,
Yeah.
our okra got 7, 8 feet tall.
I
Um,
actually grew some okra here, right here at the house, and
yes,
that was
yes, I brought some.
yeah.
And the thing about okra, our ancestors brought okra from Africa,
Yep.
uh, in their hair and different
Mhm.
ways they transported it here.
Mhm.
So I look at okra as being that ancestral connection. Yeah.
Nice.
And okra is so hard to take care of. It's just like taking care of an elder.
Mhm.
You have to pick it every day. If it doesn't, it gets tough and no one want to eat it. So you got to be out there. It's got these little spines in it that get in your skin, and it's you
Yeesh.
know
Yeah.
during the
Yeah.
hottest part of the summer, I'm in a windbreaker picking okra.
Wow.
So
I
okra
remember
is one of those things.
when I was younger, I didn't like okra. I called them the slime. Just like, yeah, why would you want to eat that? And so as you grow and you learn about what's good for you, um,
Yes.
like I
Yeah.
didn't like avocados. So now
Yeah.
I of
Yeah.
eating things
Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
rejected as a young person. But as you
Yeah.
grow, you learn about how good those slimes are for you. I
Yeah.
mean, for
Yeah,
digestion.
that okra, I mean, and I like the seeds, and we would just take a pod and break it open and eat it right then and
Yeah.
there.
I've
Like,
always loved okra, and
uh,
I've loved everything that's green
mhm.
as well. Do you also grow rutabagas?
I haven't grown any rutabaga.
Oh, okay. My
Uh,
grandfather used to grow rutabaga. That was one of
uh-huh.
his things. I didn't
Yeah.
understand rutabaga at all, but
It's a strange looking root, but all roots look strange to me.
they
Yeah.
do. They do.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit, Jean, about the curing process because you bought us some beautiful sweet potatoes. You said, "Don't eat them yet because they've got to be cured." I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, my
Sweet
watch. When
potatoes,
do we eat those sweet
they have to be
potatoes?
cured too, just like onions. You just set them up for about 14 days.
Yeah.
Sweet potatoes like warm moisture in a dark
Okay.
space. If you've got that, that's fine. If you don't, just do the best you can with them. But
Yeah. So you have
curing
to
them,
have like paper bags, just to.
yeah, that's what gives them their that sweet taste. Because if you eat them any other way, the starch does not turn to sugar, and they will not taste very good.
Wow.
So
It's like
go
eating
ahead
a
and
great banana, huh? I mean, it's not.
so,
It's just not pretty yet.
yeah,
So.
and most of it that I has been already been I've already started curing it. So, but I was so anxious to kind of get it out. And, I planted it last spring and I hadn't seen it since then. We
Wow.
just said, let's go get those sweet potatoes. Yeah, I wonder what they're going to look like. And they were actually look like sweet potatoes. So,
Wow. So
yeah.
we showed you pictures from Instagram. Give people your Instagram link because we want everyone to follow Jean on Instagram. She's had a real low presence kind of, and people need to know what you're doing. So is it on the screen now? Um,
It should
Jean
be,
at Freedom City Gardens. Yes.
yeah, it should be. Yeah. Yes, it is. I'm sorry. It is. Email, website, social media. That's the social media right there.
Okay,
Freedom
so on
Street Garden.
Instagram, make sure you go on
And
and
it's
follow
Facebook.
her so you get those
Uh-huh.
pictures of produce and tell
And
everybody about it. Let the children see what natural, real food looks like as opposed to fast food, which is
That's important, folks. Fast food is delicious. I will admit it's very convenient, but it is killing us.
yeah,
It
it's not. I tell myself it's not food, so that keeps me
ain't.
from
It
going
is
in.
not food. It is not food. It is something, something else. Um,
Something else. Yeah.
it's something else. I don't know what. But we grew up. You couldn't. Our parents wouldn't let us. Well, number one, there weren't any fast food restaurants in my town. But
Yeah,
if there were, they wouldn't let us eat.
yeah,
No, you got food at home. We're not buying that for you. We couldn't
yeah.
drink soda. We couldn't eat any kind of, food outside the house necessarily.
Yep.
Wow.
You have
So
another question, Jean.
I'm sorry.
You have another question.
We
Oh,
actually
okay.
answered that one though.
Do you
Oh,
host
you posted.
workers? Yes.
Oh,
This is from Judith, just Judith.
that's
Yes,
Judith.
Judith.
Yes, Judith. I host workers in my home, in my humble abode. If they want to come out to Athens and they have a guest room, they have a private bathroom, they can spend the night.
Ooh, I'm coming.
And and if in return, if they'll come out and if you just talk to me, that helps.
Right. Oh, yeah, I
Help
think
me
people
do
would
it.
want to talk to you to find out what's going on and learn a
Yeah.
little something.
Yeah. 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 But people have been come out and they've been amazing. I mean, it just takes a little bit of, 2 hands, 4 hands, 8 hands.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit of help to kind of get over that hump. And every day
Nice.
is a challenge. Every day is a very difficult day. I mean, farming is no joke, folks. It is
Mhm.
no joke. But it has so many benefits,
Yeah.
health wise.
Yeah.
Uh, just being outdoors,
Judith,
being in the
sign
sun.
me up. Judith wants to be there too. So
Judith, I'm happy to have you. I'm happy to have you. So,
that's so nice.
it's
How many,
running gun.
how many acres is the farm?
I'm sorry. How
How many
many
acres?
acres?
Mm-hmm.
The total farm is 3.5 acres.
Mhm.
My portion of it is much smaller than that. I have about 30 beds, 50-foot beds that I am
Mm.
using right now, and then I have some other beds that are under cover, what we call cover. So when I started in the program about 2 years ago, that soil had been worked so much, and had so many problems with it. I had insect infestation. I had crops that wouldn't come up, crops that I had to replant,
Mm.
crops that would come up small. The vegetables would be small. So we decided, this needs this soil.
Mhm.
These beds need to be rest. They need to rest. And then I moved over to the other side of the farm
Mhm.
where we had cover crops all the time, and we cover them and knock them down and plant them up again. And
Yeah.
what a difference it has made. So,
Mm.
Mother Nature requires you give the soil a rest, that you respect the soil.
Right.
You let it rest. You don't malign it. You don't dig it in with mechanical things. You
Mhm.
gen- you work with it gently, by with a broad fork. So it's a lot of work. It's no
Tell us
joke.
tell us a little bit about the program that you're in and how you got
Okay.
involved. I'm sure
Yeah.
they're saying
Yes.
that they would
I'll
like
tell you.
growing. So what's a good
Yeah.
way for people to
Well, the Farmer Incubator Program with the Athens Land Trust is a USDA funded program that's
okay.
3 years that takes people in. that want to be farmers, and you work on a farm. You have your own farm, you have your own plots, and you have a farm manager there. Seth Nivens is our farm manager. He's excellent.
Okay.
That you have to rely upon, that kind of shepherds you through the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the other program that I'm in is with the is with the National Women in Ag Association, and the director is Noreen Whitehead. And this is another program. This is a group of Black women. This is a national organization,
Hmm.
and they have been instrumental in giving me the other piece, the business ag part.
Uh,
Uh, Introducing me to other farmers throughout the state, through NRCS officials, through USDA officials in the
mm-hmm.
state, and also providing me with resources. And also they come out, hey, you guys are overdue to come out. They also come out and help, on the farm as well.
Oh, nice. I was wondering what kind of network you were a part of. So that kind of answers.
Yeah, those are two of the those are two of the main ones. And how I got into it, well, something called COVID happened,
Oh, yeah.
and people were dying, especially Black folk.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Why were they dying? Because they weren't not healthy, you
They
know.
were right.
And we've been, integrated now for how many years? Dr. Imani, 50 years
Hmm.
into this. We've been integrated for how long? Since 65, 45, 55 years. So we're taking on these bad eating habits.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And so our genetics go back to hunter-gatherer Africa, the original people that roamed this earth.
Right.
And now we're getting this synthetic food
Yeah.
that our bodies don't recognize. And other than that, it is full of sodium, not salt, but sodium, which is a chemical.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is the most dangerous thing you can put in food, sodium, and give to people. It's like giving them poison.
Yeah.
Wow.
Uh,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that I haven't been guilty. I love French fries, but hold the salt. And I
Hold this.
also do things to neutralize it. Like, I drink a lot of kombucha.
Oh,
um,
you kombucha too.
yeah. So I after I eat, I do a cleanse, and
Okay. All right. It's
um,
it's amazing just the whole cycle of life and how it's
yeah,
all connected. I remember
yeah.
I was driving and I had my granddaughter in the car and she must have been maybe 5 or 6 or something.
But Angela,
A bit older, yeah, Angela. But she asked me, and because I worked in public health and always had a lot of health information.
yes,
She,
absolutely, yes for health. Uh-huh.
yeah, she said something like, Nana, I think there's a connection between what people are eating and the fact that so many people are getting sick. And I was like, wow, yeah,
Ooh,
we would
yeah,
go into stores and she would read labels. We were
yes,
somewhere like a Woolworth, Walmart,
yeah,
I'm dating myself, Walmart.
yes,
And I think we were looking for cereals or whatever.
yes.
She pulled up a box of cereal and it was like um, I don't know, 400 grams of sugar. It was something crazy. And she said it
Crazy.
out loud. And then, she was always tiny. And they
Yeah,
looked at this little kid as like, who is that reading labels at that age? you know? But it's true. I mean, adults need to look at the labels, see what it is
yeah,
that there was a soup
yeah.
that we found that we really liked. And it was in the natural section, right? And we
Full of
looked at
salt.
1,200 milligrams of salt. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what in the
yeah,
world? Like,
yeah.
that one's on the list.
Well,
That's
it's interesting. People think Chick-fil-A is so healthy in terms of a fast food. Oh, Chick-fil-A is so healthy. Well, they do cook in peanut oil, which is better than some of the oils like cottonseed oil, which is full
yeah,
of pesticides. But Chick-fil-A has maybe double or triple the sodium that
yeah,
Popeyes
yeah.
has, for instance.
Right, right. I
It's
always say
really, really, really salty.
there's something with that because you see the lines, people waiting for that food. I mean, yeah, I haven't eaten chicken in years, but I'm
Yeah,
just, what is in that food that is making people crave it like
crave
that?
it.
It's the
Mhm.
salt. I'm sure it has
Salt,
something.
salt and sugar.
Yeah, yeah,
And
salt and sugar.
occasionally I'll eat a few nuggets, and if I don't, once a year, I'm horrified with I can't even the amount of salt in it. It just you really notice it when you've eaten right. So farming has helped me eat right, but not only that, I wanted other people to eat right. So
So
just looking back at the old days when I had my garden, I asked my mom to start me a garden. She did. My dad brought those tomatoes home. So
Wow.
kind of looking back, and my daughter, that's how she was raised. I raised her on the food that I grew in our backyard.
Wow.
The night she came, or yeah, the morning she came, the day before that, I was in the garden trying to, I had a bunch of neighborhood friends come over, thank God. And we were just trying to get the beds ready so we could plant the food for the new baby that was coming. And that's
Wow.
what she ate. The food that I ground up, the carrots, the peas, everything that I ground up and
Wow. So lucky
puree.
to have. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
that's
we're
what
going to
she ate.
show we're going to show the fourth slide at this point.
Okay. Okay,
And
great.
tell the audience what we are viewing this time.
Yes. So those are my green peppers.
Hmm.
And those are not my peanuts. Those are some peanuts that I bought for. I have clients that want different things that I don't necessarily grow, so they wanted some peanuts,
Oh, okay.
um,
Okay.
naturally grown peanuts, and those next to them are the Hakurei turnips, and I just picked some of those today. I picked you know about 30 pounds of them,
Hmm.
and just wonderful green tops and bottoms, roots that you can eat that are extremely nutritious. Turnip
Nice.
is one of the oldest cultivated foods that known to
Hmm.
man. So, and this is some hibiscus that my one of my cohort workers is growing.
Hmm.
Um, and then some okra that I grew is right next to it. Some Clemson red and some Clemson burgundy okra.
I've
I've
never
never
seen
seen that.
that.
I've
I
never
haven't
seen any
either.
Clemson red okra, and
I've
I
just
love
seen
okra.
I've seen the green ones, but I've never seen. Do they taste different or about the same?
They
The
taste
red.
about the same, but the burgundy has only like four sides. It's more like a square, and then the Clemson is kind of like a star. If you cut it, you'll see that.
Okay.
But they do taste very similar, but they behave in different ways. The burgundy is
Mm.
a lot more. It doesn't grow quite as fast, but it grows more. It's more prolific, and the green will just get huge, you
Hmm.
know. And
Yeah.
so, trying to market this and trying to sell it to people, I'm conscious of, how things look. So I like to blend colors,
Hmm.
Mm.
Hmm.
colors that kind of draw people to the food. So
That's the artist in you too.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
all these pictures I've taken with my little cell phone. So
Wow.
yeah.
Nice. They,
Mhm.
they they look really nice. Everyone, I want
Thank
you
you.
to follow Jean on her Instagram page.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
I hope they can get to it. Let's see. I can
they
maybe
can. What do we?
paste. Okay. Yeah, follow me. I just built the Instagram page a couple of days ago. So I don't have
Oh,
any promotion.
that's why I was your second follower. So yes, we want you. We're gonna have thousands of people following you,
Yeah,
Jean.
yeah. One thing about what I do is I rarely have time to do much else. And this, I guess learning anything that you have to really apply yourself. I have to apply myself physically, mentally, emotionally,
Oh
uh,
yes.
critically. I'm always have to think about things and weigh decisions. And from the
So
time I
Hmm.
hit,
that
if I think
leads to another question in terms
uh,
of what you're saying, and I was wondering, how's this kind of a vocation for you? How's it a spiritual? What's the spiritual endeavor that doing what you do enriches your life as you enrich
oh,
the soul for the food that you?
yeah. I think I'm addicted to it because it's been so enriching. It's been enriching in a physical way. I'm getting much better nutrition. I'm getting exercise. I'm getting vitamin D. I can't tell you how many times I've been to physical therapy to try to get my mobility together. That's not an issue for me now. It is
Wow,
not
Mm.
an issue.
that's
Um,
powerful.
you know, you know, everything heightened. All my sensitivities heightened. Um, and this is something that's always happened to me when I garden when I was gardening years ago. If I was really burdened by something, I would go in the garden and
And
after being there 5 or 10 minutes, I would just feel this lifting of my shoulders, and it would almost be unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
And I really feel an ancestral presence when I'm in.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, do
Mhm.
you think that there was a strong connection with our ancestors, even though enslaved, they are out in the fields, not wearing necessarily, they're having shoes on their feet and their feet connecting
Yeah,
with the soil
yeah,
and just
yeah,
through their
Mm-hmm.
body,
Right.
yeah,
and
yeah,
they were
yeah,
healthier than the
yeah.
slave owners,
Right.
and they
They
were
were
that way,
grounded. They were
grounded.
grounded. I mean,
Yes,
there's something
yes.
about
I think the thing that saved us was the fact that we were ag workers or
Yeah.
slaves. We were in the field, that we were dealing with soil, we were dealing with plants, we were getting sun,
the sun.
and
Son,
Right.
what food, we grew a lot of our own food.
That's
Um,
yeah.
and we didn't, the slave master, oh, you can't eat my food. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
We had more nutritious food. And people kind of knock that food today. Well, if you're working 16 hours a day,
Mm-hmm.
you can eat neck bones and fat
It's not anything.
molasses. You need those carbs. You need that energy. Trust me.
Yeah. No.
Um, but
True.
we're not doing that now. We're sitting in front of our computer and
TV and yeah. All
TV. So we're not. We're eating similar. If you eat soul food, we're eating a similar type of diet. So that's another reason why we're getting,
yeah.
we're kind of off the chain when it comes to diet. We die of heart attacks because we get too heavy. If
Absolutely.
we eat that food, and if you eat that food and come out and work on my farm, hey, you get a pass. You can eat all the food you want like that. No, I'm,
Well,
I'm just joking, but it's we at one time we ate to survive, and now
right.
we eat for pleasure, and
Mm-hmm.
nothing
Social.
wrong with that, but
Right. It's a social, interactive kind of
yeah,
thing. Well,
yeah,
you certainly inspired me, Jean, because I have in the past had, and it wasn't me, it was, someone else who was growing
uh-huh.
things in the yard, but, in the boxes. So I guess it's easy. I've got enough space. We have
Yes,
space out there to start experimenting again. Okra
yeah.
grows.
And Dr. Armani, you inspired me. Your background with at Emory with the CDC and
Uh,
Yes for Health,
well,
uh,
thank
all the work that we did around youth and
you.
all the
Hmm.
plans that we made. So I appreciate you
Yeah, well,
for
it's
that.
definitely reciprocal. So
Yeah,
it's a love fest.
absolutely,
We just have really
absolutely.
good people that we're just dedicated to trying to get it. I always say like trying to get it right this time in life. This time around.
Absolutely.
Just
Absolutely.
making every day count.
Yes.
Doing
And just to
something.
kind of bring everything, I mean, it was COVID that made me not want to be indoors, maybe not want to be around people necessarily. I mean, just, in a classroom type setting. Um, and
Uh-huh.
so when I found the incubator program, I said, that's it. That's what I'm going to do. So my friends at home, they said, "Oh yeah, we remember when you used to garden. That's a natural for you." My friends here were like, "What garden?" But um, yeah. So that's just part of the history of me. I didn't want to, whatever was going around, whatever you want to call it or believe in it or not. I didn't want to be sick, so I don't like
Right,
being sick for a day.
right.
So
And I
I
mean,
just
part of that is just building the immune system, you
yeah,
know, because the
yes,
same germs and viruses that were here on this
yeah,
a million years
yeah,
ago are still the same germs and viruses.
yeah. And we can't build our immune system unless we get good food. I'm not talking about the stuff you get in Kroger or Walmart. You
No,
have to grow it. It's a different species, okay?
yeah,
You're getting real food and you're getting artificially grown food, basically.
Mm.
I mean, you can live off of it, but I don't know.
but it doesn't build your immune system. It doesn't keep you healthy. You
Thank
know,
you,
I
thank
think it's
you,
either gonna make you sick or make you healthy.
thank you,
We have
thank
to
you.
decide
Um,
where things are in that spectrum that we're putting into our
yeah,
mouth.
yes, yeah,
We have choices.
yes.
I,
So it's all
went to
about food.
I just
Food.
went to Ghana not too long ago,
Ghana?
Gene,
Okay, yeah.
and I was there for 12 days, and
Uh-huh.
we had a chef who was preparing our meals. and every day you could just taste the freshness of the food
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
meals here, right?
Yeah.
And so I asked her one day, what were some of the spices that she was putting in the food that we were eating, and she named a few: garlic, and but one of the main spices and the herb was moringa. And she said
Yes.
we cook moringa in everything that we eat, along with garlic and in our drinks, because that has helped us to fight against COVID. So they're out planting, they're growing their own food. I didn't see anyone wearing masks. Folks look healthy. They're in the sun. They're getting vitamin D.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I didn't see that many people overweight. It was just
Yeah.
amazing. But
Yeah.
you could taste the freshness in the food that they're
Yes.
planting. It came from the market to
Yeah.
the stove, pretty much.
Yeah. So they pick it in the morning and they take it to market, and then they take it home and cook it and eat it.
All the time. So, Jean, we are just about, gosh, we have less than 5 minutes.
Wow. Okay. So thank you so much for inviting me to this.
Thank you. Any final words of wisdom? Anything you want to share? Tell people again how they can get involved. Your best.
Yeah, if you want to get involved, I'm a farmer. I'm not a gardener. I'm a farmer, folks. I produce and grow food for hundreds of people. I produce and grow tons of food. So I'm a production farmer. I'm a market farmer. So I need help. No, you can come out anytime and join me. It'll be a lot of fun. You'll get an eye opener on what it means to be on a micro. I would call it a micro farm.
And can people come to your farm and make purchases on site?
They can come to the farm, make purchases on site. I've got a couple of websites. I'm at the West Broad Farmers Market. I don't know if you can see that.
I don't. So why don't you tell us what that link is, if you have it.
Okay. Well, if I have time, I can put it in the chat box. Would you like me to do that, or?
If you just say it, I can get one of our producers to type it in.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's the West Broad, wbfm.locallygrown.net.
bfm.locallygrown.net.
Yeah, so that's the West Broad Farmers Market. That's online, and we do some in person. And then you can also connect with me at Market Wagon. I'm on the East Market Wagon, which is in Lawrenceville, and I'm on the West, which is in Lithia Springs. So, meaning that's the platform that you can go order from me, and I will deliver the food to one of those locations, and they will deliver it to you. Not for free, but
will they send it like to addresses in Atlanta?
Yes, they will. They send it to address addresses in the metro area and the surrounding area. So you can go to Market Wagon.
Marketwagon.com/collection/vendor/6457 ? REBIR equals true. That's a long link.
Yeah, I thought I put my links in there, but you have to go to Freedom City Gardens, which is the name of my farm.
Okay.
And one last thing is Freedom City Gardens was named after the work of Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer and the Freedom Project. So Mrs. Hamer was always my idol as a kid, and I remember her through Freedom City Gardens.
That's
beautiful.
Makes white folk a little uncomfortable, but they need to be uncomfortable. Freedom City Gardens, yes. So if you go on Market Wagon, or if you go on West Broad Farmers Market, just make sure that you're getting, produce from me. Other than that, you can call me or text me.
Yes. Okay. Your number.
It's better to text me because my hands are always in dirt and soil and mud and
Okay. So text you at 847-894-7771.
Yes.
We're going to have to end our show.
Thank you.
If I'm in Atlanta, I'm happy to bring food to you if you tell me what you want.
We'll be
Other than that, if you're doing any value add, if you're making dishes, for like if you're a caterer, if you want me to grow something for you, you can also.
Oh wow!
I will grow herbs or vegetables specifically for for you, and I guarantee you your food will taste better than anything.
Good.
Yes.
The main thing about food is freshness.
Freshness.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much. Would you be willing to come back again to be with us?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'd be honored. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, we thank you so much. Next week, for our listening audience, we're going to be blessed to have an associate professor from Canada School of Theology at Emory University, in the person of Dr. Gregory Clark Ellison II,
Nice.
who is the author of Fearless Dialogue. He travels both nationally and internationally, leading workshops and helping organizations develop honest conversation in a very hard way. And he is outstanding scholar in our community of theology and healing and transformation of lives. And so we look forward to Dr. Ellison being with us next week. The topic is Fearless Dialogue.
Yes, dialogue. Thank you very much. And I would just want to thank Progressively Yours Health and Wellness Show and Dr. Kynes, Dr. Imani, and Janet Jack. I want to thank you all so much, and the audience as well. Thank you for.
Thanks, Janet and Toya, our producers with Go Giga Creations.
Go Giga Creations, yes. Thank you very much. And you all text me if you want to have the experience of your lifetime.
Yes,
and we want to send a shout out back to Just Judith for all of the comments.
Oh, yeah. She says, great show.
Great show. Gives us the love hearts. Thank you, and do continue to follow us. We appreciate it greatly.
Yes, please follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. If you subscribe to our YouTube channel, then you can always get links to every show that's coming up.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.